Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to another fun-filled hour. It is snowing here, and we go from summer yesterday to full-blown winter today. So, hello, Claudette. How are you? So good to see everyone. Hello, True Heart Living. How are you doing? Good afternoon to you. Jesse, Stephen, as he gets a sip of tea. Brad White, how are you? I guess you got the electricity back on. Good to hear. Good to see you. Brian Lunsford, hello. So I'll just call out everybody I can see. Nick, Jaguar Spirit. That's so cool. Seriously. Lost in Space. It's a great place to be, is it not? Dawn, how are you? Spirit Wind Dancer. Now, I love that. My dog is named Dancer. So I love Beethoven. Dum, 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 dum. Anyway, Aztec, good to see you. Material Classified, good to see you. So, hey, everybody. Paula Jean. Paula Jean's not, yeah, there we go. I begin to have to really watch when I'm speaking. Apparently, I'm speaking in tongues that I don't even know about. Or at least so says CBS Audio, saying that apparently I'm speaking a French lesson. I got to tell you what, now, we could really get into some duality on that one. The internet is a medium, many spirits using it, portals in and out, and now we've got bots out there that are picking up, unbeknownst to us, voices from the ether world. Welcome to the family. You just gotta laugh. I mean, seriously, what else do you do? I mean, the absurdity becomes so comical that the cause and effect is nullified by the polarity effect. Some people can say, well, gee, that was a copyright strike. And of course, YouTube has this Orwellian approach to their system. But nevertheless, as an initiate in Hermeticism, you just look at the polarity of it and you just laugh. And I guess the spirits kind of dig it as well, because they're like, hey, there's really something happening here. I invoke the spirit of wisdom to reign supreme in all of these broadcasts. I invoke favor. Well, Jaguar Spirit, bless you. Bless you. Thank you. 100-fold return be met back to you, and whatever it is in your life. Oddly, it's odd. I was in the kitchen as I stand before you, looking out as it's starting to snow. This is very interesting. And the thought came to me, the most wealthiest soul is that soul which knows that there's no price that can be paid. And I think that's what so many of. So thank you, Jaguar Spirit. Much appreciated. We'll help put that towards a good cause here. Gary Baxter, how are you? Good to see you, buddy. So, how's it going? We had a chance to really demonstrate what we're learning here. We set a different tone and a different vibration. And even when there are opportunities in which can easily go in a swing, in a degree, then that is so often how it goes. But when we put into practice exactly what the 7 principles teach, it's very easy to neutralize it. Because what we do, we invoke favor. knowledge. We understand that the first principle, the universe is mental. It's mentalism. It's all thought, everything. And that usually, for people who are not really familiar with the seven principles, it becomes very difficult because that first one is a real headbanger. I mean, I've had people write me and go, now, wait a minute, let me get this right, Steiger. So what you're telling me is that everything around me is nothing but a thought. And one individual, so if I go in front of a car, are you saying that that's just mental? Well, of course, I wrote him back and I said, well, you're going to find out how well mental overrules physical, but it's still complying with the seven principles. I mean, it's not rocket science, is it? Hey, Brian, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. Summer Ray, how are you doing? Great name, by the way. Skies Above, hello. Travis Santa Cruz, hello. How are you, dear? J.H. Armstrong, how are you doing? By the way, I got your email. Interesting thing on 5G, huh? I want to get that guy on the channel here. I think he would be a very informative guest to have on. So, Andrew, good to see you. Death in Destruction. Yeah, love that. Seven principles. I mean, it really gets you in a totally different place. I mean, let's take the election. I mean, here in the United States, this is just, man, this is Twilight Zone. No. I'm not going to, and I wouldn't do that. Rod Sterling was a better person than me to associate. This is kind of like Outer Limits type of stuff going on. It's crazy. It's and when you look at this now from an initiate's point of view, you realize how easily our society has been built upon lies and deceptions, and we buy it. I mean, we buy it. If it didn't work, they wouldn't be spending the billions of dollars that is being spent to sway your opinion, as so they say. Imagine if no one showed up to vote. Nobody. As a protest. We're tired of all the hate. We're tired of all the rhetoric. Because, the path that we're on, folks, is the path of darkness. This nation as a spirit has been taken over by a dark spirit. And people want to argue with me on that. And so I say, well, show me the counter. I mean, seriously, show me the counter. Hate is everywhere. We're at an all-time intensity of anger. Individually, collectively, anger is everywhere. And we look to leadership, and I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, whatever. There are no solutions given. No answers. Just hate. Hate and lies. I actually wrote a station here in Denver, and I said, how dare you? Where's your accountability in this? You're taking this money because the politicians will tell you, well, that's those PACs. I got nothing to do with it. They're spending their own money. But it's the very politicians who wrote the laws. And so what he's saying is that, well, I have no accountability. Well, there you go. That's a guy you really want to elect, right? Because he's already telling you or her, I have no accountability. And I certainly have no accountability to you. Okay? And we buy it. We become so polarized, so divided, The proverb and axiom is true. A house divided against itself will not stand. Think about this individually, about yourself. If you're divided internally, you're already heading for a failure. If your marriage, your relationship is divided, bifurcated is the word, it's doomed unless it's changed immediately. The same thing goes with a company. I've seen many a startup go where you have the camaraderie and you have the creativity flowing, and then something happens. And once that is gone, it's replaced. I love one of the passages in even in the Bible. It says, where contentions and confusion is, there's nothing good that's going to be birthed forth out of that. And I look at the nation today. I don't know. I'll tell you this, and this is a little off topic. It's a distraction. What every person needs to be asking this election cycle is, why is Congress borrowing so much money? Why is the United States borrowing so much money that you don't hear in the news media? You don't hear it from any side, Republican, Democrat, Independent. It came out today that the Fed is looking to borrow $1.4 trillion. Let me say that again. The reason why it doesn't affect you is that because right now you're not feeling any pain. It's coming. It's coming. And then you counter that with the fact that the Fed is taking in record revenue, nearly $1.6 trillion. So why are we borrowing money that is, folks, these cats in Washington, they're writing blank checks. I mean, it's crazy. It's just absolutely nuts. Could that be a sin? So there we go. But let's talk about sin. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is simply because of this. People write me, and we're having an effect. More and more people are coming here. More and more people are realizing there's a different energy here. It's a different attitude, and it's contagious. And as I see people beginning to become aware, the one thing that they write to me about and struggle with is, well, what do I do about sin? Deprogramming is tough. It ain't easy. I'm hearing Three Dog Night in my head. And I'm going to keep it in my head because it seems like CBS Audio can apparently, I guess, read my other thoughts. I don't know. I digress. But how did they say, how do I deal with that? And here I'm going to state something that's going to seem completely counterintuitive when I say it. Once we're indoctrinated, we love feeling guilty. Yeah, we love it. We're addicted to it. And psychologically and physiologically, I can prove it to you. The thing about feeling guilty is this: guilty triggers an endorphin in your brain, in your pleasure area. And when you feel guilty, it allows body to step in because you're going to be pulled, gravitated towards something that's going to give you an immediate relief. And that comes in many forms: confession, prayer, drugs, alcohol, sex. I mean, you choose. We all have. And then that starts the cycle. Because the very thing you're trying to self anesthetize yourself with, when the anesthesia wears off, you're going to be right back over to the guilt train. And that's how it's been programmed. I mean, complete religion's been built around that. Don't you know? So let's kind of get right into, I put together a presentation here, as I do. I always like to have, the only way that I know how to teach is by visuals, because we each see what you want to see. And really, the goal of a good teacher is to be able to communicate visually, not necessarily by simple word. And so that's why I put the slides together. So this is the copyright disclaimer, that this is fair use of me. Apparently, I'm going to need to put my name there now. So anyway, there we go. You just invoke favor on them, favor on that bot. So here's the deal. You've been programmed. Plain and simple. Almost, and I can probably say this now with a greater degree of certainty, is that looks like from the womb. Well, now that sounds weird, but it's not so weird when you really delve into it. Sin. Now, sin literally means to miss the mark. It's the literal definition of sin. However, as we get to now, the theology of the word, an immoral act. You ever thought about that? An immoral act. Now, is immortal and immoral synonyms together? Wow, that's a beautiful smell. Wow, very cool. Thanks. It's a very pleasant, very almost citrus odor. And I ain't got nothing burning, nothing like that. So anyway, so an immoral act considered to be a transgression against divine law. Now, remember, all religion is legalistic. Contracts, covenants, etc., etc. An immoral act considered. Wording is very important. Considered to be a transgression against divine law. Well, who's divine in this case? And whose law? So to miss the mark, here's another definition. 1, an offense against religious or moral law. Most moral law that I know in its foundation all came from religious law. So that would thus then imply that all religious law is in all moral law. Think about that. An action that is or is felt to be highly reprehensible. Isn't it interesting? An action that is or is felt. Well, that goes deep. An often serious shortcoming. Wow. That one's got glue all over it. In other words, fault. Well, I'll tell you what. You get your hands in that stuff, and I'll guarantee you it ain't going to be able to wash off too easy, is it? So, two, a transgression of the law of God. Wow, that one we're going to dig into a little bit. A vitiated state of human nature in which the self is estranged from God. So a vitiated state, it's breaking down the word, it's separate, to be apart, away. State of human nature in which the self is estranged from God. Two key points here. Three, actually. State of mind, state of consciousness, state of human nature. That's God, man. That's man, God. You are God. And it says right here, in which the self is estranged from God, separated, divided, opposed, antithesis. So if we use the fourth law here, polarity says, then this is just a matter of a degree. So if self recognizes source, God, creator, the all, then is self any longer estranged? Don't need religion. Don't need politics. Got the mamas and the papas going in my head. I got a song. Anyway. I mean, folks, you got to look at where things legally are. So what we are all programmed to do from the very early age, it's perpetrated to each generation from the previous one, is that you have to carry guilt and sin all the days of your life, or you can choose door number 1, door number 2, door number 3. Now, door number 1 are all the religions of the world. You can go in just like going into a warehouse supermarket. You can buy it wholesale. You can buy it by the bulk. Door number 2 is that you're now in a restricted club because, well, if you just aren't with the majority, well, they'll recognize you, but on a limited basis. And door number 3 is total sovereignty. Which one you want to pick? Because the system is designed for you to feel guilty and to be weighed down by it, by the concept of sin. So the question that has to be asked, no matter where you stand in your ideology, Does sin exist? Oh, I can only imagine what kind of response I'm going to get in this later when this one is reposted. Does sin exist? Well, we found out what the definition of sin is to miss the mark. Let's stop and think about that. So to miss the mark is to sin. Okay. Well, what am I aiming for? What if my whole purpose for being here is, well, just to observe? Got no skin in the game. Don't want to have any skin in the game. Am I missing the mark on that one? Seems like I'm almost on a bullseye. So by that definition, I don't have any sin in my life. Well, there's my answer. But seriously. So again, sin, moral evil as considered from a religious standpoint. Well, what if we took the religious standpoint out? Well, what happens there, folks? We ain't got no sin. We ain't got no evil. We can't do that. Sin is regarded in Judaism and Christianity as the deliberate and purposeful violation of the will of God. I believe the term I heard in the Old Testament was when this God, by the way, was about to wipe them all out, a stiff-necked people. That implies he wants to break your back. Oh, well, let's not talk about that. My question is, which God? Which God? When we go to the Sumerians, I can't find anything that they actually said in as far as the sin thing. The Hebrew God, I'd reject that. Listen, no disrespect to Judaism, but I am not a Hebrew. I don't want to be. And I certainly don't want to be obligated to any Hebraic Judaic God. India has a lot of different gods. I dare say, in all respect, if you tried to start writing down the laws of these gods, man, you'd be crushed. Islam, Christian, which God? There's so many to choose from. That's why I reject them all. I don't like any one of these gods. Got no desire to know them. I have said it publicly. I am not obligated to any of these gods, and they're not obligated to me. You ought to try that. So let's get in a little more deeper. The concept of sin has been presented in many cultures throughout history, where it was usually equated with an individual's failure to live up to external standards of conduct, or with his violation of taboos, laws, or moral codes. Some ancient societies also had concepts of corporate or collective sin affecting all human beings and dating from a mythical fall of man out of a state of primitive and blissful innocence. Let's just stop right there, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the problem. They're telling you exactly like it is, primitive. So if you're ignorant, then that would imply you're going to be in bliss. Innocence. As a God in training, this is reprehensible to me. This is offensive to me. Because it implies to keep you down, to keep you disadvantaged. I continue. In ancient Greek thought, sin was looked upon as, in essence, a failure on the part of a person to achieve his true self-expression and to preserve his due relation to the rest of the universe. It was attributed mainly to ignorance. Do you see the conundrum right here, folks? It's presented in living color with color commentary. Think about it. We have the antithesis of two worlds of thoughts. We live in today, regrettably, with the first one. We've seen the result of it. We're living in it right now. But you look at what the Greeks, they got it from the Egyptians, Mesopotamians, a failure on the part of a person, that's self, to achieve his true self-expression. Now, by that definition, so many have sinned. And to preserve his due relation to the rest of the universe. Bottom line, it was attributed to ignorance. I mean, I'm not laying an indictment on you. I happen to think that most here, if you're listening to me, we understand this. We don't live in a life delegated by the sin concept. I have no sin in me. I am sinless. And I don't need some imaginary cat on some human sacrifice. That's not my God. So who sinned first? Now this is going to, I'm sure, get a thumbs down. Yesterday, I couldn't get over it. You know, the videos here typically run about 3 to 6 thumbs down. Well, I was definitely rocking on someone's tail. So I ask you, intellectually being honest, I don't want religious dogma. I don't want your ideology. Who sinned first? And I'm going to set the scenario up for you. That way you don't have to think too hard. So please tell me, which version of man, which species of man sinned first here? Oh, I know it. I can hear it now. Well, you're telling me I come from an ape? You're telling me I come from a monkey? Well, you got its DNA in you. Fact of the matter is, the difference between you and that monkey, less than 6%. That's a lot for 6%. It's more closely associated with. So I'm just asking. We know the Neanderthals existed. We know that the Denisons existed. Listen, when the sapiens came on the scene, there were 6 other Homo species on the planet. Sapiens, for some reason, wiped them all out. So which one sinned? Which one of these guys screwed it up for us? I don't know. Maybe the fruit in the garden wasn't some apple or something. Maybe it was a banana. I mean, think about it. So who sinned first? I mean, we got the skeletal evidence. We know. We know the DNA. We cracked the human genome on them. We know. Which one sinned first? I mean, seriously? Is this where your complex originates from? Is this what you've been programmed to filter all information through? Is this your gatekeeper? Is this the concept that dominates you even now? I love the character. Reason why I chose this one. Look at the representative of Adam. And he's scratching his head like, what the hell's going on? I mean, seriously, he's got that look like, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm about to get screwed. And so the story goes. So exactly, what is sin again? Maybe this is sin. I mean, since we now know the Samaritans were here, we know their pantheon of beliefs, their creation story. This is the tree of life. So was sin originated here? I don't know. Missing the mark. Did they miss the mark? I don't know. There's no sin, none. The only sin that exists is that which you call sin or your own ignorance. Own it, baby. Because this is what it is. It's when you boil it down. Using an alchemy term, if we distilled this down to its essence, it would simply be your ignorance. That's all. So prove to me that sin exists. I challenge you. Prove to me that sin, in the context of which we've all been programmed under, exists. I mean, what do you do for those people like myself who say, I ain't having any of that nonsense. Y'all got your religion. That's fine. That's cool. Hey, I'll cheers to you. You know, go for it. But my tribe, nah. We want nothing to do with that. Now, there is a caveat to this. Unless you are under a contract or covenant with a God. This is serious stuff, folks. Nothing to be taken lightly. You see, I am not. Are you? Have you made a public declaration? Did you take a vow? Did you take a public vow? You have to do the same in reverse. Sovereign Key, there's a number of others that have some great declarations. Andrew, forget the guy's name, has another one. It's just great. You see, breaking laws is not sin. Paying a penalty is not sin. Punishment is not a result of sin. These are concepts that have been interwoven to us that makes us think if someone breaks the law, well, they have to pay the penalty. Well, they have to pay the sin. Well, sin is punishment. Sin has to be met with punishment. No. It does not. There is consequence. The sixth principle teaches us there is cause and effect. We live in a society. Societies are fractured, diverse, eclectic. You see, there's no such thing as hell. And no sin is ever going to send you to hell because it doesn't exist. Sin, we've already shown, is nothing more than ignorance. Now, you may, when you die, go to planet Spingo. I don't know. It's ruled by morons. Maybe that would be hell. It doesn't exist. It's all made up. It's a control mechanism. And again, as I said before, I don't need some human blood sacrifice to somehow attune to all of my sins. I have no sin, other than the ignorance that I've yet to gain knowledge to counter. And there's no such place as heaven. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist. It's quite interesting when I ask people, well, then define heaven for me here. Come on. I mean, this is your reward. I mean, tell me what this place is like. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm not going to be in hell. Well, all right, fine. So what are you going to do for the rest of eternity? What are you going to do? Well, all my needs are going to be met. Well, you're already in hell then. How can I be in hell if all my needs are met? Well, because you're nothing more than an automaton. You're a slave. If you can't challenge yourself, then you're going to cease to exist. That would probably be hell. And then I got people giving me the finger after that because they don't like it. When you start challenge them and say, well, define it then. What is it? The only sin that does exist is in what you allow to be sin or ignorance. It's just really, folks, that simple. And it shouldn't hold you up as you become more aware of the situation that you were born into. You shouldn't. And I know that this seems like heresy, and people are saying, well, now you're just, this is heresy. You can't be saying that, you have no sin, that you don't believe in God. I don't believe in any of the religion gods. I believe in the all. And all those gods are the all. And I think so often that we're burdened subconsciously with this background of guilt. You've done nothing wrong. And again, which Homo sapien, Neanderthal, Denison? I mean, I could go right down. Which one of those sinned first? Which race sinned first? You see how this goes? This is freaking insanity. This is what bothers me about the programming of religiosity. It's just nuts. Now, we can live by a moral code. That's what civilized beings do. But if we came together instead of as opposing one another in this mindset that really is one doctor in anthropology, as I read his white paper, said that there will never come a day for world peace. Never. His whole position was it's ludicrous. It's fallacy, fantasy. Impossible for Homo sapiens sapiens to ever come together in unity. You want to know why? Because we have one, and this is the thing that I know why we're gods. We have this one thing in all of us called the will to live. And that means we have to survive. And in order to survive, we have to ensure that I provide for myself. And then when you get joined, it multiplies. And what we found out when we took the challenge of coming into this plane of existence, that ain't so easily done, brother and sister. We came into a shitstorm. And I'm just being very honest. It's crude language, but SIHT means store in high transit, so that's all right. But we did. I mean, I've studied the angels long enough. There's a war going on amongst their species. Been going on a long, long, long time. They have respect for spirits like myself. They don't jack with me anymore. And if you get to that place, they won't jack with you either. But there's one going on. And when we come in as sentient, sovereign beings, that's God. That's what you're defining yourself as. Anytime you say you're sovereign, that's what you're saying. I'm God. I am a God. But the fact that we have to survive, the will to live overrides virtually everything else. Only in moments of great heroism, acts of valor that go beyond human comprehension. And our species, that's the beautiful thing about our species. Each one of us are capable of doing that, laying our lives down. That is probably the only thing. But getting back to world peace, it's impossible because we've shown it time and time again. This is what the world is today. Now we've got to begin to speak another voice. Listen, my voice is no different than a voice that has been spoken that comes from the ages. They're pulling for us. Something's changed. We've got a tactical advantage here. I don't know how long that's going to last. And the thing that we have to be on guard about is that we cannot react the way that we used to react, by thought, by word, or by deed. It used to be you could be a fence walker. You know, we used to use the expression, one foot in the grave and the other on a banana peel. Which one's going to slide first? And we can see around us. I'm going to do a show Thursday night called Election 2018, the Season of Insanity. Because most people like us, folks, we are in an enclave. I dare say the spiritual energy is so recognized. And many more of us are invoking our names and those spirits that are ready to, people say, well, how can you say that they're going to serve you? I didn't say to serve so much. I think many of them are just willing to help. They see future gods here. I'm as much masculine as I am female. And as my wife, other women, I mean, they're as much masculine as they are feminine. It's only when you begin to understand what true gender is. And unfortunately, the world of politicians and political correctness doesn't know what gender is. They're lost. They're so lost down the rabbit trail that they'll fight you to tell you just how lost they are. And you know what the Hermeticist says? Fine. That's okay. It's just a matter of a degree. Had an individual, all of you know probably if you've been over there last night, a gentleman who made some comments. Now, in a normal chat room, a normal group like this would have been an explosion. The negativity would have been fed in from right side, left side, upside, downside, inside, outside. We didn't do that. We taught the Hermetic principles. We chose to take the polarity and make it to our advantage. And that's how it's done. And I invoked favor on that gentleman. Favor and peace. And I also told him, I said, this group of empaths, they also got a lot. Just as I said that, the number 222 shows up. I said, and there's also a large group that have a large psychic mental capabilities. It's like this room. I mean, if you're not prepared to be naked in this room, I'm speaking figuratively, then get prepared, right? Oh, my. Oh, my love. All right, folks. I know that. Oh, well, Leslie, good to see you. You're 222. Great. Well, welcome on board. So, folks, you got to laugh. I mean, seriously, you just got to learn to laugh. It's one of the great things that you'll carry into the next plane. That ability to know what laughter is, to experience that emotion. Now, I don't know what the spirit does. I don't know if the spirit's happy, sad. I don't know if it can express emotion. I don't know. We're all going to find out. But, right now, I have to just say, I don't know. I'm learning. But I also am learning that it is a special gift of God with the ability to laugh. It'll heal your body. The magicians that wrote in the book of Proverbs said it. It says, a good word spoken at the right time, oh, how sweet it is. It doeth the heart as a good medicine. Laughter, folks. Do you know what the number one cause for arthritis is? You want to know? Bitterness. It dries the bones. Now, all of us have arthritis. It's just most of us have an ability that it's not that impacting. But as you get older, it's what happens. And so that's why you have to be very mindful of not carrying bitterness with you. It'll suck you dry. And you won't even know it until one day you wake up and you go, what the? And you go, that is nuts. You don't want that. One of the greatest guitarists of our time, Eric Clapton, can't play anymore because of arthritis. It's just one of those things. So, D-Truth, yeah, them dones be dry. But it's the truth. You know, it's in moments of crisis where you really find out what comes out of your mouth, really where you stand. For decades, I used to always go around saying, bless God, bless God, bless God. And now I know what I was really blessing. I was blessing me. So I keep on doing it now. When I like would stub my toe or hit something, instead of most people who would cuss, the first thing that comes out of my mouth is bless God, bless God, bless God. Now I may be hopping and holding my foot for all it's worth, but that's what's coming out. And it has a totally different energy. It's still going to hurt. So, um, my own stupid stuff. Well, you know, I don't like the word stupid, but you know, because the word stupid actually is derived from stuber, which means a person is of not the same presence of mind. To be in a stuber is to be, there you go. That's where the word comes from. All right, so you've had your spelling. Well, folks, thank you so much. Friday night, we're going to have Warrior Princess on. Going to raise some money. We're already doing pretty good. Already have money that is already in hand. So we'll put some, we'll fill up that food pantry of hers. And folks, I just appreciate you all. Thank you for stopping in. I enjoy these little timeouts. I think an hour each day, and sharing the journey together is kind of far out, actually. So, yeah, we'll just keep on and keep on in your pursuit. That's what counts. It's really, where are you at? It's very cool. Shannon, thank you. Thank you so much. Sarah, thank you. Awakening Being. Thank you all. I'm learning from you, and I just want to invoke favor upon all of you. Let favor reign supreme in your house. May your name only be seen with favor. And wherever you go, may favor follow you and go before you to make your way unhindered. How's that, folks? That's how we do it. That's how we do it here. You know what I'm saying? And we have fun doing it. It is. It's a lot of fun. I don't get to read the whole things in the chat room, but I go back and look at them, and y'all are a pretty groovy bunch of people. Yep, I think so. That's just my opinion. But actually, it's not an opinion, because it's actually predicated upon factual evidence by the observer. So that means you are groovy. All right, bet you didn't know that, did you? Y'all be good to yourselves. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time. All right. We'll talk then.